Hey, good morning. Happy Monday. Happy one day past Father's Day. I'm Vito Scarnecchia with the Apatana Group, powered by Compass. Today we're waiting patiently for our friend Scott Hill to talk to us about what's going on in his world of mortgage lending. I've been talking the last couple of weeks about what's going on with the market, what's going on with the housing market. Lots of stuff going on. If you have any comments or what have you, please make sure to put them there. I'll respond to it. If you have questions, what's going on? Is the sky falling? We're actually going to talk about Chicken Little a little bit. So yeah, lots of good things, lots of fun things happening, lots of scary things happening. But the scary stuff is where those that are prepared make a killing or make a fortune or make their retirement happen. I'm sure everybody, and Scott, who just popped on, he's still coming in. He's going to be Pollyanna. He's going to be our hi, come on in. Hi, Scott. You're totally frozen up. Oh Lord. Okay, so anyway,
I think we're
Scott is going to be. Hey, Scott. You're barely there. Oh yeah, you must have Comcast.
How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
Nah, no, it's my office. I can hear you fine. I have that little symbol that looks like this, and then it's got the curves. I've got
Wi-Fi?
I got 3 out of 4 on the internet access symbol in the bottom of your queue here. So
the router
might hear a couple of delayed voices or sound like we're in a submarine or
yeah, it's okay. We'll work on it.
That here and there, but I think we're okay.
You're killing our viewers. No, so what happens is probably between your modem and the internet, like your fiber or what have you, is slowing down for some reason, which is normal.
Well, let me just turn off anything else. I don't have much on right now, to be honest. Let me close email at least 365 down.
That's the problem.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you a Mac or PC?
There's nothing on but us.
You're still very. Are you a Mac or PC? Remember back in the 2000s, that was Mac's
thing.
PC. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
From a snooty Mac people.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, we gotta improve the internet connection here at the office. I'm not at home. I'm at the actual office today, and for some reason here, got a little bit of delay. I think once we get buffering, it'll be okay.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But we can continue to talk and stuff. So before you popped on, I was kind of saying, hey, this is where we are with the market. This is actually. Can you hear me? Scott, you're killing.
Hang on. With our outline, I just want to kind of open that one back up. So hang on one sec here, and just give me 1 second.
Hey, you're all smooth. Here. You don't look like Max Headroom.
Awesome. All right. Let's see here. Okay. We're gonna find it on the dock. Okay. Bam. I think we're good. Slide over here to the screen.
So we got to do this a little more often.
All right, we good.
Once every couple months or once a month, right?
How was your Father's Day?
Okay. That was really good. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
With some new news coming up and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. I had an open house this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and people are starting to come around again, which is good. And my big fear is, and that's why I'm asking you to come on and talk about what's going on, is what's going on with the market. What are you seeing?
Well, here's what I'm seeing. It's one of 3 to 4 things, and some of them stand on their own, and some of them are combinations thereof. Obviously, the big thing that's hit everyone is rates going up, right? And so you got some people that think that real estate purchasing is something to do or not to do based on where rates are. And you and I both know that's really not probably the sound type of advice to be taking. Some people are looking at, well, okay, maybe the market's is softening a little. We're hitting a perfect storm, and if we wait long enough, they'll drop enough to where I can save a few bucks on the purchase. Others are, you know what, that doesn't bother me. Rates doesn't bother me. It's that my stock portfolio has dropped, 20%,
Right.
and I don't want to sell it right now. Or a combination of those, right? Any combination of those, and everybody's going to be a little different. So when I have a buyer that maybe doesn't want to move forward, it's one of those 3 things I'll hear, or one in part of another one, or what have you. And then it's our job as, realtor / psychologist, lender / psychologist, to help kind of break through those fears, right? We have to do that on a regular basis. But at the end of the day, it's up to the client. But those are the 3 things that I see as the most prevalent, that we have to kind of walk them through, that we've seen this before and it's going to be okay. Are we throwing money away by continuing to rent because we want to save, $150 on a month ago's rates? Well, last time I checked, a big portion of that payment every month goes to paying your principal down. So you're getting ahead no matter what. You're building your equity, you're building your wealth. You can always redo your loan.
You're paying other people's
the one
rent,
that I understand
right?
is the stock mortgage portfolio. If that's where all your funds are. Yes.
Yeah. And if you have money in real estate,
what about you?
Equity is constantly going to increase, even though the market might come down. You're paying down your principal, and when you pay down your principal, then you have equity built into it, right? And you can't say in the future that your house value is going to go down to 0, but what happens if that happens? But is that the possibility of that happening is 0 to nil.
That's it.
And you're always paying towards your mortgage. Yeah. So being a homeowner makes you flush with your equity.
Correct. And it's getting the new homeowner or the repeat homeowners eye on the right ball.
Right. Sometimes
they'll sabotage themselves, and even us, before we got in real estate and really understood how it works, we're sabotaging ourselves because of the fear, because of what we're hearing on the media or what have you. But it's kind of like in our jobs, if we don't take care of clients really well, we might not get referrals. Now, thankfully, you and I do a great job for clients because it's in our DNA to do so. And clients come back to us. But if you don't take great care of them, maybe they don't refer you, and maybe that's income for your family you'll never earn, but you don't really see it happening. And so that's what happens here a lot of times, is we got to help take the blinders off of our clients' eyes and really show them the money that you actually are losing by delaying what is a great investment in your heart, but there's a little bit of fear holding you back.
Right. And you hear all the Chicken Little, and today I kind of, in my mind, I wanted to be Chicken Little versus your Pollyanna, because you're always the optimist, and I want to be devil's advocate, and I think that makes it a healthy conversation, right? Because what I see is the market sitting. I have a house that's listed going on 3 weeks now, no bites. There's nobody else there. We have 7 other competitors in that specific area, that 1 mile radius, and all of them are sitting on market 30, 35 days, all the way to brand spanking new. Nobody's reducing prices, and it's almost like it's one of those crazy standoffs where, like Clint Eastwood had that standoff and everybody's pointing a gun at somebody else and just waiting for somebody to pull the trigger and drop prices. I don't want to be the first one to drop the price, right? So, but
That's
I
right.
see what's going
That's
on.
right.
And I said, like last weekend, we only had 3 people come through on Sunday. And this last Saturday, I had 9 sets of people come through. And yesterday it was six sets. And
Wow.
I'm working with a new agent, so I'm kind of showing him the ropes and talking to him. And I had him connect with one of the families that were there. He was Robert's Navy, and then the family that came in is Army. So we had that that brotherhood thing, and we were talking and having a good time and all this stuff. And hopefully she's on this video watching eventually, because I invited them to come and watch and see what's going on and have an idea of where the market is. And now is a great time to buy when you're throwing out extra 100, 200, $500,000. Yeah, that's great. That's great for the sellers, but it's horrible for the buyers. Now is the time to buy. There's less buyers. There's so much inventory. You can be picky.
Yes.
And like with our clients that we're working on right now, they're like, "Yep, we got it." And we started at 850, and they dropped it down to 799, and we went in at 730, and now we're at 760. So if you look at it, they're netting, what is it, $90,000 off the price, right? So there's some wiggle room in these prices.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? So when you're looking at
the
buying a
the
house
other
today,
thing
go ahead.
you can do is no, we got a delay. I want you to finish your thought, and I'll pop back in.
Oh yeah, I
Good
just
what
lost
you're
my
saying.
delay. So now is like I'm almost tempted to tell people. It's like I've been telling people, get your finances ready. If you've been thinking about buying a house, now is the time to get ready to do it, right? And it doesn't matter if you buy today or tomorrow or 6 months from now or 6 years from now. The market might go down, but you can't be guaranteed of that, right? We have half the experts, the Pollyanna, saying market, especially here in Silicon Valley, it might take a little bit of a dip, 1 or 2%. It could go down 50%. We don't know, but it could just go down a little tiny bit and still continue. When the market goes down is when more investors come out. It's when all the buyers come out, and they don't play those that are on the fence. They're sitting there watching, but they might miss the boon. They might miss the time.
I was just gonna jump on what you just said. That's what I was going to say was follow the investors. If the investors are buying, there's a reason. They don't care what the interest rates are right now. They're looking at the wealth they're going to build by owning that piece of real estate.
Right.
You get one crack at the purchase and starting the clock on owning it. You always can redo your financing strategy. That's what people have to understand. A lot of times, and it's our job to educate them, they think, oh, whatever I get in on my current market interest rate right now is what it might be forever. And no, that's not the case. That's just the market. Those are two markets in parallel with each other, right? The value of your home, you buy it here. Over time, it's only going to go here. You buy your rate here that went up a little bit. Over time, it's going to come down, and you're going to restrike on that and now lower the costs of owning that home. But you can't get back the 2 or 3 years of equity that you lost of paying down principal because you're waiting for the rate to come down to save $200 a month. But you might lose $80,000 in value or more people on that. And really explain it in a way that's simple and that they can grasp.
Right. And, but everybody agrees with that, right? I mean, it's like, this is when people are starting to come out and start saying this is the time to buy. What are your so I heard something somewhere, and I can't remember where I saw it. And it wasn't I didn't read it. I saw it on a video. They said that in the next 3 quarters, the Feds are going to testify, and they're going to suggest rate increases for each of those quarters. Because we have such bad inflation right now, we have to do something to halt
Right.
the consumer from buying stuff, etc. Right? So if you have stock in Amazon, it's probably a smart time to sell it, right? But
Correct.
the math that I'm doing right now is if a very conservative numbers that we're seeing in 3 quarters.
Yeah.
So March of next year, we could be up to another 1.5 points.
Correct.
Or 150 basis points, right?
Yeah. And so just I don't understand.
You need to get off your 14.4 modem, buddy.
The same thing as what we recognize as mortgage rate. Yeah. Yeah. Well, if I paid for it, but this is a company-based modem somewhere in this building. I have no idea where. And I'm thinking, there aren't a whole lot of people here today. It's a federal holiday. I should have a good amount of bandwidth, and I'm not getting it. So
maybe you should be on your phone. You'd be better on 4G.
Yeah, right.
Or
the good old iPhone probably would work better. maybe it's just we're putting out such incredible content that there's so many people flooding right now that's slowing the bandwidth down, Vito.
We'll go with that. We'll blame StreamYard.
All right.
Yeah.
There you go. It's StreamYard.
So you were mentioning something about the extra the increases over the next couple quarters.
Yeah. So that's coming, and I want everyone to understand that 2 things. One, mortgage rates don't follow exactly what the Fed does. The Fed raises a quarter. It's not like, on July 7th, Fed's raising a half. So my 30-year fix I could get today is going to be a half higher in mortgage rates. It doesn't work that way. Mortgages are tied to mortgage bonds, okay, and the Fed is the Fed funds rate. Now, the way it works is when the Fed starts talking about raising the Fed's funds rate, which affects things like automobile loans, home equity lines of credit, credit card interest rates, all those you're going to see are going up. Well, what does that do to the stock market? It rattles it. So they're smart. They anticipate that ahead of time. And that's why you see mortgage rates going up. And people are like, why are mortgage rates going up? I heard the rates are supposed to go up in 2 weeks. So, the last time they did exactly what we knew they were going to do. Okay. So you'll also notice your savings rate at 1% is going to go up a little bit now too, because interest rates are going up. But what are the banks doing? They're taking our money at 1% and lending it out at 6.5%, right? And telling us, hey, this is pretty cool. You're getting some decent savings here compared to a year ago.
You should have all your money in stocks and long-term savings and real estate.
Anyway,
right? And talk to a financial advisor, get your money stocked in there. Don't keep it in savings. And it's something that, over the last couple of years, I finally convinced Jill to put some money into the stock market. And we're not doing direct stock. We're doing ETFs with an advisor. And, she's freaking out right now. I'm like, just keep putting money in there. Yeah. We might slow it down because my business right now is kind of like stagnating on purpose. I don't want to pay income tax. But anyway, it's just, I'm kind of stagnating. I know business is coming in, but I'm still saying, hey, you know what? We got to slow my business down a little bit. So we're tightening belts a little bit here and there. But, you look at everything that's going on right now. You look at lumber prices are going down, which has made the news 6 months ago, right? We were paying $8 for a stud, a 2x4x8 stud, which is ridiculous. And I have to say that was the greed of the industry, right? Because there's no reason to have it go that high. There were no massive fires or what have you. But inflation's going crazy. We're paying high gas prices. Just on my corner gas, I think it was over $7, which is ridiculous. Yesterday in Sunnyvale, I paid $6.25 for a gallon of gas. That's just ridiculous. But you know,
Yeah,
the way things are going, we're probably going to be paying $10 a gallon here, right?
Yeah. No, I just cost me a couple $100 to fill up my F-150 the other day.
Yeah, I was at my
200.
I paid it shut off at $100 at this gas station that I went to.
Yeah.
I was like, what the come on, dude, what are you thinking? Got to make it at least 150 now for common sense reasons, because you know bigger trucks are gonna need more. So anyway, is what it is. And you know, they're saying it depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
If you talk to the press secretary,
Yeah,
the economy is doing great. But if not, you know, other people are seeing things kind of going awry, where you're seeing less people going out to eat and buying stuff. And you look at the value of any department store, and they're all kind of dwindling out. They're just because people just can't afford it. If you're living paycheck to paycheck,
that's right. That's right.
you know, it's going to be really difficult, right? And a lot of people are going to be tightening their belts. Layoffs are going to start happening, right? And even the company that I work for, Compass,
absolutely,
they laid off 540 people. But you know, sometimes you have to get rid of the fat when you have people that are sitting around doing nothing, or they're just sitting around doing nothing. Redfin announced the same thing. Last week was Carvana, right? And those are the first dominoes to fall. There's going to be other ones that are coming. And
yes.
The other thing too is like construction starts now. That's new houses, right? And I don't deal a whole lot with new houses. I went to Florida last week, which was awesome. I went to Florida last week, and we talked to a lot of builders.
I'm going tomorrow.
Oh yeah? What part?
Yeah, you know, where Fort Myers. I take my son out there for a medical treatment every few weeks right now.
Yeah,
I think I might have shared
exactly
with you
where we were.
We're getting off topic, but you know, he had suffered a pretty bad concussion 2 years ago in basketball, and so we had to find this doctor that is pretty brilliant. People fly in from around the world to see him. So yeah, pleasure trip, but we'll get to Florida there for a few days. Go every 3 weeks.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That's good. It's good to know.
About the building, though. Continue your thoughts on building, because I am going to be a real live case for you right now when you're done expanding on that a little bit.
Because you're going to buy a house there. Remember, I have my broker's license in Florida too. So
no, not there. I'll launch into it now. I have a piece of land here in Pleasanton that I've owned for a few years, and it's been a tough go dealing with the city and lots of other issues. And we just decided this weekend, plans are done, permits are all there. My wife and I just said, it's not worth it right now to build. All the prices of every vendor that's going to be involved has shot their prices up, and it is just the math is not working right now at all. Like the amount that we borrowed on the financing isn't going to cover near now, you know, another, I don't know, 100,000 more. It's gone up, you know, and probably more than that. And so sometimes the writing on the wall is there. And if it was a regular resale home, I'd be more all in, most likely, but it's going to cost us a ton of money now to build compared to what it was. So we're just going to shelf it for a few years and see what happens.
I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? Your permit's going to run out, but all you have to do is light the fire again. And when it starts going, rates will be down a little bit, but construction costs are going to be less, and labor costs are going to be a little bit more formidable, or the market's going to justify that increase, right? So your price, the housing prices will go up, and because why would you do it when you're scrunching your margin? There's no reason for you to do it if you're only going to make 5% of what your plans were.
Right.
And that's what new housing. So you see all the new housing that's out there, and we're telling everybody that we need
Well,
40,000
yeah,
new
and give you an
doors in San
example.
Jose. Go ahead. For example.
Yeah. You know, I was just gonna say, like the city, even there's a fire hydrant that is on the driveway that you know we have a long. It's would be a long driveway that we would pave and everything. And there's a fire hydrant there. The city just told us the other day they're not going to let the vendors use the city water for the work. That now we have to haul it in at today's gas prices home, and you know, it's just you know you got to do the math sometimes, and you know
Right.
now I wish I had bought a resale home. This was going to be a pretty cool gig where you design your own home, you know, and everything else. But you know, so even I in the industry, like you, I mean,
Yep.
you know, we fall victim to timing, and but the key is don't lose sight of it's still valuable as an investment. And if it was a resale
Right.
home, I'd probably buy it right now. I wouldn't worry about it, refi it when rates come down. But I've got all kinds of costs that are being factored in on a build, which makes it completely different than a resale, which is what most of you know our clients are going to be looking at. So
Right. Right.
so and then try
My
to resell it at an unknown market in 2 years when it's done, or keep it or whatever. You know, there's just too many unknowns. So just hit the pause button right now and
yeah.
look at other properties just to buy maybe as a rental right now.
Right. Right. So new home construction halts. They're not starting new projects. They're going to try to finish out what they can to sell off what they can, because once you start a house, doesn't matter if it's 50 houses, 100 houses, or one house, you have to continue to go until you run out of money or you finish it and sell it, right? So the new home builders are going to finish what they can, and then they're just stopping anything new. So that's going to lead to a lot of layoffs, which means lower labor costs eventually, right? Like my plumbers come in here to fix something right now, and half my mind is like, maybe I should just wait until the economy collapses and call them. It'll cost me half the price to have them fix what I'm doing. So, that's what's going on in the back of my head. But at the same time, we got to keep pushing this market, the economy forward. People are still going to buy houses. People are still going to refinance their house because it makes sense. I mean, right now the refi market's completely dried up, but there's still refinances happening, right?
I'll give you an example. I'm doing one right now for a client that is on an adjustable rate. It's 7 years in, and he sees what's going on with rates. He doesn't want his arm to 11%, 10%, right? And he's got a HELOC, so he says, "Hey, I want to refinance this now and get it on a fixed. 6% range is much more attractive than the 10 or 11 it could go to if I don't get this solved." And then once rates come back down again eventually, which they will at some point, we'll refi his loan again. And then the strategy, Vito, that I like to do with clients is I'm not there to refinance your loan to put you into a new 30. I want to have a really, a smart conversation with you about when are you planning on retiring? When would you like to see your mortgage paid off? And then let's time that new term to those goals. Because a lot of times clients will just take their new 30 and they just start, put their head down and they're working and they go back to making that payment. I want to help them say, hey, you're 4 years into this. Let's go on to a 26-year term now, or a 25-year term. Let's keep going so that we don't get stuck with front-loaded interest again, and still make this a very viable refinance, more than just cash flow monthly, but how much interest are we going to save so that we have that much more wealth when we finally hit that finish line.
Right. And that's the idea, right? So I actually have two more things to talk about. And one is, what are you going to do? What can you do if you're a buyer? But I think the next thing is, from an investment standpoint, what what options do you have? Like, let's say you're just a, I want to say civilian, but you're, you're
Your
you have a
military
nine to
coming out.
five, you have a manager supervisory position, or you're a CEO, and you have money. You're waiting because everybody's saying now to hold cash, right? Well, we've been holding cash for a long time. Now it's time for us to do the investment standpoint. What strategies are you talking to with these people now, with your people?
So it's funny. I was just in a conversation last week with a couple of them about, you know, if you're going to wait because you're in fear of, or you can't find the right home right now because inventory is still low. Your stock portfolio has plummeted. You're just concerned about the rates. Well, then let's flip that on its head. What do you think rates are doing for the people that are buying, particularly in the private money sector, right? There's people that are investors that need your money, and they need your money at 9%, 10%, 11%, in real estate. And I myself have even lent some of my money out. And I think, gosh, one of them, don't get excited because they're not all like this, but I think one of them was like 14%. It's like 6 months to 12 months. I get that money back. It's earning 14%. That was a one-off. That client really needed that money pretty badly. And there was a little bit more risk in that investment. So that's why it commanded that. But typically anywhere from 9 to 11% you'll find in investing in someone that's doing a bridge loan that is needing money to finish a property they bought that doesn't meet traditional lending guidelines, and they know they're going to flip that property and make a good return. So there's a need for investors' funds, and you can get a really healthy return and capitalize on the growing interest rate market. And yet, isn't it funny? You're still in real estate. So I find that to be a really safe opportunity. And most
Right.
of these investments that you get involved in, there's a lot of equity built in there, or the investment's not going to happen. So they're relatively safe. You're going to have 30, 35, 40% equity in these investments. So
Right.
if something goes south, for the most part, you're not going to lose your money. And the key is to find private money lending sources that have a long history of lending to the same investors over and over again, because they have a proven track record of repayment, and it's more security for your money versus somebody that's new starting out in the business and is trying to build a book of investors without a track record. There may be a little bit more risk in there. So you want to be careful if you're going to do it. Find people that have been in the industry a long time. And for like myself, I'm a broker, so I have access to some of these people and I invest with them directly myself, a little bit here and there. Been holding most of my money for this build that I was going to do, but that might have just changed as of this weekend.
Yeah.
I don't want that money sitting in a savings account at 1%. I want to get it working so that a couple of years from now, it's turning over a little bit of profit.
Yeah. So we're actually, there's two things I wanted to talk about. About a year and a half ago, I was looking around and talking to people about doing loans and hard money loans and all this stuff. And there's these guys that are scammers out there. And we should talk about scams that you have to watch out for next time we talk. But this guy's like, there's a $750 application fee just for us to tell you if you qualify. I'm like, are you out of your freaking mind? It doesn't work that way. I'm not gonna. Yeah. And I didn't have the NMLS number. I didn't know who he was. He didn't have like a company name. I was like, I was like that, that prince from Africa asking for. It's like, that's crazy. And people buy into that. It's crazy. So the other thing is or did you want to talk about that?
No, I'll keep going.
Yeah. So the other thing is part of our journey out to Florida was, compare and contrast what's available out there versus here. residential, commercial, apartments, storage, what have you.
Mhm.
And Jill and I are just kind of like forming this story of what's going to happen with our next level investments, right? What we're going to do, right?
Mhm.
We're sinking some money into ETFs with our financial guy, and then obviously real estate. And before COVID happened, I was all in my mindset that the market was going to crash. I was wrong. So we sold all of our assets. We had a ton of, duplexes, and we had a cabin. So we got rid of all of that. And the market just, just shuddered a little bit and then took off. And, I've been kicking myself in the ass since then. But at the same time, I've taken this time to really research and understand, and I'm constantly learning more about being an investor, a solo investor in commercial real estate. And I've been watching the market and been watching. I know real estate here, residential real estate here, but I didn't know residential real estate in Florida. So we did a lot of research there. While the kids were working or sleeping in the morning, because they like to play their video games until 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Jill and I would wake up around 7 o'clock, get in the car and drive around, check out different areas. And then the new housing, the new home developers would be open, and then we'd go talk to them and we'd learn a lot about what's going on. And, we have this now value that we're taking and learning to trying to figure out what we're going to use with, right? Where are we going to buy land? Are we going to let it sit? Are we going to buy land and develop it into storage? Are we going to buy residential land and buy it on spec? I don't know. I mean, there's all these different things that are out there, but we know where the growth pattern is. We know what's going on. We know the insiders of what's going on. We've even talked to like the people at the planning department in Cape Coral. I want to say Coral Gables, but Cape Coral. But, intrinsically, I know what's going on here because I've been doing real estate for 20 years here, almost 20 years. I know where the growth patterns are. I know what's a good value. I know what's a bad value. And I know what, commercial real estate here is so out of touch that you'd have to have like $30-40 million just to invest in it. And I don't have that. I can't pull that out of my pocket. So you have options of buying into REITs and syndicates. And I know a lot of people that do that. And I know a lot of people that manage those.
Yeah.
And it's still semi-risky, right? I have one guy who's pulling up all his stops. He has, I want to say, 2,000 doors in apartments and 40 or 50, maybe 100 houses.
Wow.
And he's pulling up stakes and moving out of California because he's just done, because he's, just done with everything. And that's a lot of what I'm seeing is the transition is to get out of California and buy somewhere else, somewhere that's cost effective, right? But where do you go? You just have to figure out where you're going to plant your stake and go east, young man. Right? So I don't know. And I don't know if I'm going to move.
Yeah. The thing you give up here is obviously this is.
What do you give up? The weather?
Well, I was just going to say, you give up paradise, the weather here, so you got to know that you're going to get a better cost of living almost anywhere else you go, but outside of New York. The bugs get bigger. The air gets wetter. The sun gets a little hotter. But like anything, right? Go back to when you were a kid. Didn't matter where you were being raised. It's all you knew. And
it's what you knew.
You talk to anyone who lives in those areas. You get used to it. It's a big deal. I grew up in New Jersey where it was pretty damp in the summer, and kid. So, you'll adapt. We'll adapt.
As a kid, you don't know any better. And as an adult, you go, okay, it's hot. I'm going to go inside and sit next to my fan with my air conditioning on. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're in California and then they push the off button for electricity.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Absolutely. No, my brother moved to Texas a year and a half ago, left Manteca and said, I'm out of here. And it's hot there, but he loves it. He says, it's just he just the people are great. The expenses are much lower, and I mean, he went there and started up a HVAC business already.
Wow.
So that's how friendly everyone is. You can start a business pretty quickly, and people start working with you. You know, um, so it can be done. It can be done.
You just have to figure out where you want to go, right? And again, I don't think I'm ever gonna. I don't know if I'm gonna move out of California, but the trend seems to be California. A lot of people are moving out of California, so I'm keeping my eyes open. There's certain areas that I would go to. There's certain areas that I don't want to go to. Like anything with snow is an absolute no for me because I'm Canadian by birth, naturalized in '89, but I'm kind of done with snow. I like skiing. I'd go fly there and travel there and go skiing. But when I was in Cape Coral, we went to the beach almost every day, swam with the stingrays, which, freaked out my girls. They took off. They had a blast. I like that whole concept of being really close to the beach and in water that you can swim in instead of like the Santa Cruz water where it's like you're in there for a half a second and you're done because it's so bloody cold.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot of options. So maybe it might be my like
Double
vacation
wetsuit.
home or something. So who knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
So last thing, Scott, if you're in a position to be a buyer right now, what strategies would you recommend, or what would you? I mean, don't give away your secret sauce, right? But give away most of it so that they're interested. What would you do?
Well, it's easy. It's if you're number one, whether you're going to buy right now or you're not going to buy right now, get in front of a loan officer, competent loan officer, and talk through your situation. Because like I was saying before, sometimes there's fears that you've got in your mind or things you don't know yet or don't understand that's causing you to make decisions you normally wouldn't make had you talked it all out. And it could be that, you're not ready right now because you've got a little too much debt, or you have a pending job change in a month or two that's going to put you in a position not to get a loan, or you're changing jobs and you're making X amount of income, you're making X amount of overtime or things of that nature, and then all of a sudden you go to more bonus and you're thinking you can use that bonus. Well, you can't. You need 2 years of averaging out that bonus or that 401k, or that overtime. There's stuff that you may not know that can cost you getting a home right now. So whether you're going to buy now or not, get it out of the way, get the conversation going, let that loan person, fully analyze you. And then the knowledge you're going to now gain from I'm ready, I'm not ready, or wow, I didn't think of that. That right there is a money saver for me. Thank you. I'm glad we had this conversation. Now you've got people, hey, I can do this, or it's not the right time, or gosh, it gives me a little bit of time to go get X, Y, and Z done, so I'm in a better position. That right there is the most important thing. Too many clients say, well, I'm not ready to buy tomorrow, so I'm going to hold off and get my loan when I'm ready to buy. You're not getting a loan right now. You're having a conversation about getting a loan to eventually buy a home. That's what you need to have.
Right. I mean, I want to say I've known Patrick McAndrew, who's my advisor, for about 5 years, 6 years. And it took us that long to have the conversations and get ready in the mindset to be ready to do it. And I'm not saying that when you're getting a loan, it's going to take that long, but having a trusted loan advisor, a loan broker that's been in the business for how long you've been in business for 25 years?
25 this December. Yeah. Yeah.
So
quarter century, man. When you look at it that way.
That means you're old, but you're also experienced and you've been through these and you can help people understand the strategies, right? And that's the difference between you and Quicken, right? those guys are just there to take orders, and they can't give you that advice, and they can't give you that information, and they don't have access to all those different types of loans that you might actually get you into a house at a better rate. And you don't come up with all these sneaky extra fees. That not saying Quicken does that, but it's been known.
We call those guys headset jockeys.
Exactly. They're
sorry you have a headset on right now.
That's okay. It's the best way for me to listen.
I hear you.
But it's true, right? So you can either shop your rate, or you shop for service and experience and knowledge. And the stress difference, from my point of view, when I'm working with an experienced loan broker from the listing side, I know that that's going to get done versus, a nationalized company that's selling on rate. I don't know who the lender is. I can't trust them. I can't trust that they're going to close on time. And I can't trust that they've been fully vetted. So you're going to pay a little bit more. But again, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you pay today. It's the relationship that you set in stone.
Let me give the audience also another understanding, especially if you're buying for the first time. I think that a buyer goes in thinking, okay, I need to find a cheap loan, and I need to find, a great realtor I can connect with. And, it doesn't matter whether they're the estate agent, your real estate agent does this every day of their lives. They work with, hundreds of loan officers over the course of their career. They know the good, they know the bad. They don't understand, though, that team concept is so important. And I tell every buyer that I'm sitting down with, listen, this isn't about me getting you a loan. It's about you acquiring a property. And what's the best way to make that happen? You may not even realize it, but when you start making offers, do you know what I'm going to be doing to help you acquire that home? And if you don't acquire that home, what are you going to give up all summer looking for a property until you get a yes? What's that going to cost you? What's that going to cost you in rates going up? Right. So you want to look at an online rate today that might be there or may not be there and compare, and that's all you're looking at. Boy, are you missing the boat. Example and point. Last week, I made 2 calls on 2 different offers. I spent 15 minutes on the phone with the listing agent. How valuable would that be to you if you were the listing agent, Vito, and the loan officer proactively called you, got to know you, talked about your seller, talked about your sellizing it. We're becoming a little bit of a team, making the seller's agent want to. They want to work with us. I want them to want to work with us. That's right. That's that teamwork that is so important. It's not about giving you a loan. It's about property acquisition. And I believe that also.
You're killing me, buddy. You're freezing up like Mr. Freeze.
You don't know. Hey, listing agent, every milestone we're going to update you, your seller, and you can call my cell phone direct anytime. Okay. I said, but oh, it's terrible. It's good quality content.
Yeah. Well, we'll get you at home next time. Or we'll get you on your phone next time. It'll be a lot better.
Maybe I should have gone to a really Starbucks.
Yeah, no kidding. Being on top of it, understanding the market, you're an advocate for that buyer, right? For that client. You're not going to get that at the national companies. You're just going to be like, here's my piece of paper. That's all you're going to get. And, the aggressive agents that are out there talking to each other, being a part of the whole situation, those are the ones that are going to, and I've seen it mostly from the seller side, but when I'm working on the buyer side, I'm in front of that listing agent and I'm advising them, telling them what's going on from my point of view, selling the client, selling you, selling everything about that whole process and trying to say, hey, this is going to be as smooth as possible. And 9 times out of 10, I mean, I'm not going to be the guy that's going to recommend that my buyer spends $2.1 million over list price in Palo Alto. I'm just not going to do that. I would never do that to my client.
Yeah.
It's just not that competitive, and no house is worth spending 74% over list price. It's just, you don't need to do that. But I'm also not going to not be the one that says, hey, here's my offer, take it or leave it, right? I'm not going to just send it in. I'm going to call, I'm going to text, I'm going to email, be in front of that agent as much as I can, because that's what you want.
Yeah,
you want to have an
absolutely.
experienced agent that knows how to soothe that deal, soothe that that question is this going to be a good transaction with this guy versus this guy, right? And that's the difference between me and the national companies that are out there saying, we'll give you discount, we'll give you discount, we'll give you discount. You're not going to get, you're going to be writing 30, 40 offers until you figure it out. Totally lost you, buddy.
Yeah. No, it's it gets down. Am I freezing up again?
Yeah.
All right.
It's all right.
Can you hear me now? Right.
Well, dude, it's been 50 minutes. We've been chatting for 50 minutes. Can you believe that?
Feels like 5.
I know. It's like there's so much more to talk about. But I can only hear half of what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right. So as with everything,
we'll fix that. I'll be at a pizza or a Starbucks next.
You should go yell at your landlord. It's probably you, huh?
Who knows? It could be your modem. We don't know.
It's not me, buddy. I'll tell you that.
Well, we'll do it again with a better connection. That's for sure.
Yeah. Let's do this once a week. One day around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. I think that's really good because this allows people to get to see you a little bit more and understand what's going on in the market. If you're watching this and you're still hanging in there, every Wednesday or Thursday, I do a 40 days on market report, which is kind of like a baseline report, talks about what's going on in the market, how many houses we're seeing, and I'm expanding it out to different cities all across the United States so you can see what's going on as far as how many houses are for sale today versus last week, that kind of thing. So you can have a little bit more understanding of what's going on in a global view or 500-foot view of what's going on in the market.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah. Love to have you next week, Scott.
Yeah, keep your heads up, people out there. Stay confident, stay focused.
Yeah, if you're ready to buy anything, just give Scott a quick call and understand what's going on. Have a good one-on-one with him. He just chatted with another one of my clients earlier last week, and she's ready to buy a house, and she was like, this Scott guy, he's amazing. You got to try him out. Or I can't believe how, quick, how responsive he is. So it's good. It's good that that happened. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's for me. It's an honor to serve people. I mean, I think we're blessed to be in the real estate industry. A lot of joy to people and a lot of wealth as well. And when you get to do something like that, you just find yourself fortunate. And I think it's a great industry. I really, really enjoy it. And I know you do as well. Funny that we both were military and that we're, in real estate now. And it just seemed natural to get into this,
Yeah. Well, our job is to serve, right? And when you're enlisted in the military, your job is to serve. And, I was talking to a couple other people over the weekend, and the whole idea of to serve, right? It's like, I remember a couple of years ago, our councilman had asked me to lunch, and he's like, well, I'm running a second term. and I'd love you to be my running mate. I'm like, thank you so much. It meant so much to me that you would think of me to run with you because, I'm a community advocate. I adopted a park. I do all this stuff. And he's like, yeah, I really want you. I think you do really well. I go, well, thank you. I appreciate it. And I didn't even have to ask my wife. I go, I know what my wife would say. So not only no, but bleep, no. There's a certain point as to what we split back. And, at the end of the day, if we're giving back and we're serving our people, it comes back to us in droves, right? So that's where I'm grateful is that I had that opportunity and to learn that giving back to the community, being a part of the community is completely worth it. So, all right, dude.
I agree.
We're at 56 minutes, so we should bounce.
Awesome, man. Thanks for letting me be part of it. And it's been an absolute pleasure. And have a great week, man. Enjoy the sunshine. Enjoy this California weather.
It's been quite nice. I mean, it's not 115 degrees. So, we'll see you next week, man.
Yeah.
See you. Bye.
Sounds good, bud. Take care.